What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and today we're continuing our draft rankings 1.0, getting these out early so that once draft season begins here on Beast Mode TV, we have a good reference point to see how things have changed, how my opinion has changed, and if there's any risers and or fallers. Now today, we're going to be making a quicker video because in the last one we did defensive linemen. We talked about edge rushers, which kind of groups in some outside linebackers depending on the scheme. So today we're going to be looking at top 5 linebackers as of week 6 in college football. And a lot of these guys are, actually, you know what? Looking at it, they're pretty versatile. Some of these guys can play, like, it's scheme dependent, which is linebackers one of the toughest positions to really like hone in on. But most of these guys are pretty versatile. They can play inside and or outside. Really, there's two guys that are out and out inside pure linebackers. The rest of those guys do have preferred positions, but I think a DC could try to get exotic, or they might have a different vision for these players once they get to the next level. But overall, pretty solid draft class, I think, when it comes to predominant linebackers and not edge rushers. So, without further ado, jumping in at number 5, it's going to be Jermaine Edmonds from Virginia Tech. He's 6'5", 215 pounds on the year. He has 49 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, and 1.5 sacks. I feel he'll go somewhere between the second and the third rounds, whereas, I kind of do feel that since the last 3 years or so, the two positions that have got absolutely slept on are D-tackle and linebackers. Those guys, no matter how talented you are, it seems like undisputed first-round talent. Like Reuben Foster, he had the medical and stuff like that, but he almost wasn't picked in the first round, and he's one of the best linebacking prospects of the last decade. A lot of scouts were saying, I think he's pretty good. I don't know if I would put in that fire, but there are plenty of scouts just throwing on praise that he's an absolute monster, and he almost slipped out. I know there's medical and off the field and stuff, but still. And you see plenty of good linebackers that I think should be first-round talents going to the second and third round, so that's why I kind of feel that Edmonds is going to go. As far as a pro comparison, I see a lot of Bernardrick McKinney when he was coming out of college. Now he's a very talented linebacker for the Houston Texans. Kind of has made Brian Cushing expendable there for Houston. He was a 2016 first-team All-ACC, and he's really coming on this season. So, obviously, with that height, with that size, thumper, but I also like, the taller the linebacker I find, obviously, just logistics. They can get their hands up. They can bat down a lot of balls going over the middle, and they're rangy. So, I think Edmonds should definitely, he's a 4-3, 3-4 fit, either scheme. I'd say probably would be a better fit inside of a 4-3, but still a very talented linebacker. Going to number 4, it's going to be Jerome Baker from Ohio State, 6'1", 225 pounds on the year. He has 29 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. Again, kind of with Jermaine Edmonds, I see him going in that second to third round range, and really going with the easy comparison. Looks like Darren Lee. When Darren Lee got selected for the Jets, I don't know if Baker's going to be as athletic. Darren Lee is elite, but he's in that mold of the Darren Lee, Ryan Shazier, undersized but uber athletic linebacker, can drop back into coverage. I mean, he's small. He's really, really small. I'm pretty sure Darren Lee, Shazier are much taller than 6'1". I could be wrong, but I want to say those guys are 6'2", 6'3", which every little bit counts. Innuendo joke. But, there's talent there for sure. And I do believe that Jerome Baker should get selected second, third round. But, again, with the smaller guys, this comes down to a personal preference. I kind of think that with the smaller the linebacker, the better fit he would be to a 3-4 defense. So there's other guys out there, and it helps them with their dropping back into coverage, because, usually the smaller the guy, the more likely you want them to drop back into coverage rather than be in the box thumper. Going to number 3, it's going to be TJ Edwards from Wisconsin, 6'1", 245 pounds. On the year, he has 33 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 2 interceptions. For him, I see much more of a second round. I'd be very surprised if he does slip out of the second round grade for him. He was a 2015 freshman All-American, a 2015 Big Ten All-Freshman, and the comparison I get from him is Levante David from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a guy that can do it all, very, very well-rounded, jack of all trades, master of none, but that is for a linebacker. That's kind of what you want. You want a guy that can drop back into coverage, not be a liability, as well as stick his nose up in there and getting involved on the run. And really, Levante David, when healthy, is one of the most consistent linebackers in the NFL, and is a big reason why when he's in the lineup, the Bucs defense looks pretty good. And when he's out of the lineup, the Bucs defense couldn't stop a damn runny nose if they wanted to. So I do think Edwards is plenty talented, good size, a little bit unsure of how well he's going to test at the combine. But for the most part, I think he should be a lock to go somewhere in the second round. Going to number 2 is going to be Cameron Smith from USC, 6'2", 215 pounds. On the year, he has 62 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, half a sack, and an interception. I think, again, kind of like TJ Edwards, he's a second-round grade. I'm not sure how he's going to test well. Both these guys kind of fall in similar molds. He's a 2015 freshman All-American, a 2015 Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, and really reminds me of a former Pac-12 linebacker that spent some time on the Philadelphia Eagles, and that is Kiko Alonso. Cameron Smith, as a freshman, I think he had like 5, 6, 7. No, I don't think he had 7, but he had a bunch of interceptions. This guy here, really, really underrated into coverage, I think, because how bad he probably will test. I don't think he's going to run a flashy 40 time or anything like that. His interceptions may look a little misleading, but he's just one of those really, really intelligent linebackers that has an eye for the ball, and, you know, that's what happens. Guys like that, they can use their football smarts to put themselves in the right position, can kind of compensate for, you know, not being the greatest of athletes. So I think Cameron Smith, Kiko Alonso was it. He was a tackle machine and a guy that can make plays on the ball for not only Oregon, but for his time with the Buffalo Bills, where I think he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. If not, he was a runner-up. I can't remember if it was him or Sheldon Richardson that year. But both those guys are monsters, and I think Cameron Smith is going to be a great starter, and probably, you know, I would say maybe a starter as a rookie, depending on what team he goes and how bad that team is hurting for linebackers. And the number 1 linebacker is going to be Malik Jefferson from Texas. He's 6'3", he's 240 pounds, 54 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, and 2.5 sacks here of the college football season as of week 6. For him, I think he's probably the only linebacker that has a shot of going in the first round, but I will slap a first to second round grade on him. He was a 2015 freshman All-American, a Big 12 freshman of the year, and what he reminds me of is a bigger Quan Alexander. So shout out to the Bucs, who have 2 pro comps in my linebacking corporate. Quan Alexander, I don't know why he constantly gets slept on. I know, like in Madden in particular, like he always barely gets an 80 overall, but he's one of the most productive linebackers in the NFL. Sacks, interceptions, just rounding up just tackles across the field, being able to cover from sideline to sideline. He's very athletic. I guess the one thing you can kind of hold against him is his injury. His durability is not looking as strong as every other bit of his skill set. But I think Malik Jefferson is really talented. I think he's slightly overrated. The games I've watched of Texas play, he hasn't stood out a whole lot, but you can see the production. The production has been there for a couple years at Texas. He's been the heart of that defense. Even though the results haven't really been there for Texas, he has been the bright spot for that defensive side. I think they got a decent safety this year as well. But you know, he pretty much almost is consensus, if you look around here, that Malik Jefferson will be the top linebacker. Personally, I like Cameron Smith and TJ Edwards in that same kind of category. You know, right now looking around, it seems like everyone has Malik Jackson and then everybody else. But that, you know, he still gets that number 1 spot for me, and he's very talented. I still can't really see a way that he goes in the first round. But then again, I haven't really done a deep dive to see what teams need a linebacker really, really badly. At the top of my head, I know the Raiders were a name, but then they got Navarro Bowman, and he looked pretty good. I'm recording this right after the Thursday night game between the Raiders and the Chiefs, and Bowman looked really, really good. But, you know, it's still way too far to assume what teams are going to draft what. But, yeah, overall, Malik Jefferson, solid linebacker. So there you go, guys. Those are my top 5 linebackers for the college football season as of week 6. Let me know in the comment section below if I missed anyone or you think I should check someone out. This is your first time stopping by. Don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, this is C4 saying peace out.